People that do not go to the gym or have like a healthy lifestyle are lazy. So far from beyond what I actually live.
I work 14-hour days and I still manage to go to the gym. It'll take a toll on my sleep sometimes, but I have to be willing to take accountability and say, I was lazy at this.
I know a lot of fat folks in my sphere like to reclaim the word fat instead of using words like morbid or obese. They prefer the word fat, and I prefer the word fat because it describes what I am, not a category that doctors are putting me in to describe how sick I am.
Welcome to Counterpoint.
You know, I feel like it's different when your doctor says you're obese, because that's your doctor trying to give you just like a definition on where your body is at. But like, if it's just a random person, I feel like saying fat is like always gonna come across as like an attack. So, you know, just say big. She's big. He's big. Bigger. I feel like big is the safe word. Big is like the safe word to use. I don't go around calling people obese. I don't go around saying anything, but yeah.
I'm your host, Ryan. On this side, we have gym goers, and on this side, we have supporters of body acceptance. Being fat or skinny is a choice. We'll start by having people that agree come up now.
So I was a wrestler my whole life, constantly dieting my whole entire life. I mean, at this point now, I'm not wrestling anymore, so I don't have to worry about it as much. But I think it just comes down to the fact of it's just a calorie deficit. You want to consume less than what you're burning. Some people might have it easier. I'm not saying that, you know,
Definitely.
like some people might find it harder to lose weight. Some people might find it easier.
In your experience with the wrestling thing, did you always lose weight when you went into the calorie deficit, or was it different each time?
100%. And it might have been, you know, a little too extreme to where it got to the point where it might have been a little unhealthy. But, you know, at the end of the day, I was losing weight, and it could have been because I had a better metabolism than some people. I could have had an easier route, but at the same time, I mean, anybody can lose weight if you just put your mind to it.
Okay, and what do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely a choice. Excluding all the rarities, thyroid conditions, you know, things like that come up. In general, I definitely think that it's everyone's personal choice. Some people do have it harder. I myself, I have a really hard time gaining weight. Super easy for me to kind of drop weight, slim down. But if you're trying to pack on muscle, I feel like I'm eating nonstop constantly.
Yeah, I mean, how much are you eating per day? Is it a lot?
I don't count my calories. I just have a rule: if my stomach doesn't feel full, I have to eat.
Okay, fair. And how about you?
Yeah, no, I agree with the majority of what you've said. You know, that you can change your diet and really control what your weight does. You know, I've watched it happen with my own body over the course of my life. I shared my office
the top rope
with a nutritionist for a year and listened to him talk about things. And, you know, it is very true. You can control that, and there are different genetic effects that can have a play on things, or different conditions that people might have, like you mentioned. But I think we have to also mention the way that our food system is structured right now. Our food system is designed to keep people unhealthy and to keep people fat and overweight, and to try and make people sick and put them into the medical system, where then they can fall into the insurance system. Like we have a system that's stacked against people being healthy.
Facts.
If you look at what people looked like with what they were eating when they ate whole foods, you know, 7,500 years ago, maybe even less. You know, I think it really started after World War II, when they learned how to prepackage foods with a bunch of preservatives to get it to the front lines, and that changed the way that our processing of foods was done. And I think since that point, it's become the commodization of the American people. I mean, we're essentially cattle being farmed for all of these different services to compound. And
facts. Jeff Hardy knows what he's talking about.
Okay, and I think that's a good time to bring in the rest.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say I agree to an extent, because technically everybody can lose weight, even with like the genetic problems people may face, which will definitely make it harder. People should have sympathy for those who have some type of genetic problem that's making it so difficult. And I feel like that's when you get into comparisons. Like somebody with those problems may feel bad about themselves for not losing weight as fast or as easy as other people, and that in turn makes them want to just give up completely. But even with those conditions, technically even with those conditions, technically everybody on the planet can lose weight. It just people may have to approach it differently. And even losing weight, people aren't gonna look the exact same. So you got to keep that in mind regardless.
I think that there's, like you were saying, there's so many disadvantages and ways of privilege that some people don't have access to, like transportation, healthy foods. If they struggle with their mental health or physical health for any reason, they can't get access to the same kinds of foods to stay healthy or to stay thinner. Just for medical conditions, personally, I have.
Well, I'm going to say something like, if you grew up with parents who just kind of fed you slop as a kid and just fed you whatever was in the kitchen cabinet, Chef Boyardee every day and like donuts, and you grow up with that, it becomes exceedingly difficult to just change your whole diet into something into that's more natural or whole or nutrient dense, because you've been stuck on sugary foods for your whole life. So parents can really, and your upbringing can really dictate how you respond to certain diets as an adult. But I mean, you can make that choice to switch your diet, but it can be a struggle if you grew up eating so differently, and you can get hooked on sugar. Sugar's addictive. So yeah.
I have POTS, which makes it hard for me to exercise, and also
What's
I need
she
a
have?
lot of have POTS, which makes it hard for me to exercise, and also I need a lot of salt. And when I am thinner, it's harder for me to stay hydrated, so I pass out then. But all of those reasons, it's hard for me to believe that it is a choice.
Okay, can you kind of explain like what POTS is?
Yeah, POTS is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And what that means is when your heart rate rises because your blood pools, and so then you pass out. But it's really important to stay super hydrated and have salt in your system to regulate your blood pressure.
I also have a medical condition called PCOS, it's polycystic ovarian syndrome, and it makes it difficult to lose weight as well. I'm not blaming me being a bigger gal over that by any means. Also, one thing I cannot control is how tall I am. I'm really short, and that's also a part of this body acceptance thing. It's like, that is something that I can change with only one thing, and that's wearing heels. And it's not the most ideal way to live, but like, this is the body that I was born in, and the body that I'm so accepting of other people's bodies, but it's like accepting my own.
You should accept your own body.
So much about it, it's really difficult.
But you can change it if you want to.
I think it all comes down to whether or not we have free will. In today's society, we don't have access to knowledge. And so a lot of us don't realize the foods that we're eating is bad. Whether or not you are eating healthy or you're eating like ramen noodles every day, we truly don't know what's in our foods. Unless you have that ability to break through that barrier of this is me, which a lot of people don't, especially in poverty. Like, we don't have access to therapy, stuff like that. Like, trauma can make a huge barrier between self-awareness and blaming the world. And so a lot of people just blame the world, and they can't accept accountability, which could literally be impossible for them.
If I have somebody that I have to rely on to buy all my food and supplies, then at that point, you don't really have a choice. It's not like an 8-year-old can petition for emancipation. I mean, he's kind of stuck under the guidance and values of his parents.
Yeah, that's true.
As an adult, I guess it's different, but yeah, definitely as young children and even the teenagers, it's not as much of a choice.
What else do you think makes it not a choice for them?
Gosh, I think of like when I'm like in front of really good food, and just being like a foodie in general, like trying different restaurants. Food is how I bond with people too. Like, it's in our society. You go to a restaurant, you eat as much food until you're so stuffed you can't eat anymore. And that is how I eat almost every day. And it feels like I don't have the free will anymore. It freaking controls me. And to get up and have that same energy to go to the gym is really hard. Where I'm like, the easy thing is to do the, eating until I can't no more.
Well,
And
honestly, that's why it ultimately does come down to a choice. Because if you can make it into your mind to where, okay, I have this option right here, and it feels easy, it feels safe, it feels normal, like what I've been doing forever. It feels like the easy way out, or this feels very difficult for me. You have the choice to do what's difficult, and which may be harder for you, but it's still a choice at the end of the day. But when you have like certain conditions like that, you can get help from doctors, or I guess if you don't have a therapist, I don't think you really need a therapist. But then again, I'm not in their heads. I don't know what trauma they have. It's all really mental. You have to make that shift into believing this is how you are, this is who you are supposed to be, over who you want to be. You may have been big your whole life. This may feel like home to you, like going home to nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. At the end of the day, you have free will, and you just have to make that shift if you want to.
maybe that does make it a choice in a way, but I feel like I don't have the free will to make that choice.
That makes sense. Do you think a lot more people are feeling that like that too?
100%. Like, it's something that I can control. If I'm going to choose a salad, you bet I'm going to put a bunch of dressing on it to make it taste better.
See, that's the thing. That's what really gets you. People don't know about that. People don't know about them dressings and them sauces. Them sauces add a lot of extra calories. A lot. Like, you can eat. See, the thing is, I be hearing a lot of people on these talk shows, on these round table discussions, where like the bigger person will say, "Oh, I ate salad for like a month straight," when you probably shouldn't eat straight salad for a month straight. But then if you eat straight salad, then you dump it with dressing, it kind of defeats the purpose, because you're just adding a whole bunch of extra calories just from straight sauce. But that also too is a choice. And you can make healthy foods taste good. It's really about getting a system in place.
Or the burger just looks so good. Like, here, I absolutely am going to eat that compared to the salad. I don't feel like I have control over it, that it does not feel like a choice. It does also feel good. Like, the endorphins hit me and I'm just like freaking dopamine high. I guess I could be addicted to crack. If my food is my addiction, which it is, I've wrote long notes in my phone about how bad my food addiction is. Like, it doesn't feel like a choice. But there's no place to go, like food rehab. Right? It's not treated the same. It's just, you're fat and that's your choice. Get up, you lazy thing.
It's
Terrible.
the easiest coping mechanism.
Right.
Like, I remember having a bad day, almost weekly. The thing was, I would go when it was a bad day, and I would hit a Taco John's and grab, big giant grilled stuffed burrito and
it's just
a
like
pound
drugs.
of potato olays, a bunch of extra seasoning, because that was like the same feeling people describe of having a cigarette when they've been craving it, kind of thing, of just that release of it just set that calm across your whole body, kind of thing.
Can I ask you three a question that disagreed?
Yeah.
Do you guys find that sometimes it's a lack of discipline more so than a choice, which can sometimes enable you into making further bad choices? I find myself with those similar struggles on things outside of the gym. How do you guys feel about that?
There's a fine line between discipline and free will, and it all just comes down onto your neural pathways and whether or not you have the capability to rewire your brain to be like, okay, I can eat this. You can have the Taco Bell, but you have to balance it out with something. Too much of anything is an addiction. If you're constantly eating healthy food, once you get a bite of, Thanksgiving turkey, you're going to overindulge. And I've experienced that myself.
Specifically with going to the gym, that is a discipline that I highly admire in people like you. Truly. I tell myself I don't have the time. I'm doing other things. I'm working. I really don't. I don't think I would have the dedication that it takes. Going to the gym is a choice. And you guys, I mean, I'm glad that you do, but it's also like not my thing. I've tried it before, and I don't have the discipline to stay consistent with it. So I think that's a good point, Gabe.
Sure.
We gotta empower these people, make them feel more in control. Being disciplined is also a choice as well. I feel like everybody did say it was a choice, honestly. Just some people said it's a really hard choice for them to make, which is very understandable. Food is very addictive. Unhealthy foods are very addictive. I don't really find myself. It's kind of like how that one lady was saying, how you got to rewire your brain into just like adapting a certain lifestyle. Because after a while, when you eat a whole bunch of healthy foods, I don't really find myself. I mean, unless you take it to an extreme where you're restricting how much food you eat to an extreme level for like getting on stage, then yeah, you may crave like the most unhealthy foods ever because you're not eating anything but like straight lettuce and chicken with no sauce. But if you're just eating healthy foods in general and you make them taste good, because you can make healthy foods taste good for sure, it doesn't really become like there's not something in my mind at least that just makes me want to all of a sudden go get like a whole box of donuts. Maybe I want to get like McDonald's one time or Taco Bell like the next day, but then that's where the discipline kicks in, where you're like, okay, I could do this, but I want to be disciplined. You say to yourself, I'm a disciplined person, so I'm gonna continue down this path of eating whole natural foods that are good for me and that also taste good. You can make healthy foods taste good.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it comes down to discipline. I've been through the points in time in my life where I've been what you would consider 1% as far as physical condition, and I know that at this point it is a discipline thing. Last year, my wife and I did a 90-day challenge, and I lost 50 pounds in 90 days. So wow. I know if I make the choice to do the things, good things happen. So for me, I believe it is a discipline thing, but that it can very well be my privilege. It's not, I have the means to be able to do it if I want to, or choose not to. And like you said, food is a social thing for me. I have,
yeah, I understand.
Just today, I had an all-you-can-eat buffet after a work event. I have at least 3 work meals every single week that are all-you-can-eat buffets, because that's our culture. Like I'm constantly working with people. It's just part of my job to ensuring other people having meals and enjoying themselves. And food is also like my art form. Like I have a commercial kitchen in my home because I just love to experiment with food, like making all kinds of homemade things. The pandemic was an awesome time because we got to make so many homemade things. I just love to deal with food. And so I've always had a problem with weight because, yeah.
I just think back to like access and like how you were talking about how sometimes there are folks that are privileged and can access those kinds of things. But for me and how I grew up, I know that like we didn't always have a ride to the food pantry, and even if we did, the food pantry doesn't offer nutritious food a lot of the times. Also, not only transportation, there is that mental block. There's also physical blocks if you are differently abled and not able to make it to the gym or make it to the store. All of those things are really prevalent in the back of my mind because I've experienced a lot of those things. And so I think it's really important for me at least to remember where I come from, and then also the privilege I have today to make more choices than I ever could.
I totally get the access because it seems like healthy food is the most expensive anytime you go to the grocery store. And so, I mean, I totally understand the access point. I just want to go back. I mentioned before I wrestled my whole life. I was not a healthy eater. I mean, try telling a 13-year-old he can't have, a cookie tonight or anything like that. And so, I mean, when I was going to high school too, for lunch, I was eating an Uncrustable, and I'd always get like a chocolate chip cookie. And so, I mean, it's possible. Like I said before, as long as, you're not, you're burning more calories than you consume, you're going to lose weight. So at the end of the day, I always think it's a choice. And it's not even like going to the gym. I mean, if you consume a lot of calories during the day, and you're like, man, I'm stuffed, I need to go burn a couple calories, you could just go for a walk. I mean, go outside, go for a run, and you would lose weight. And so, I mean, I'm still on the side where I believe it's a
Yeah, that's kind of facts. But I feel like it's a misconception where people immediately go to, I need to work out to lose weight, because that really shouldn't be the first step. The first step should be to change your diet, because no matter how much, well, unless you're literally running marathons, it's really difficult to just burn off so many calories that you can consume so fast and so easily from like fast food or junk food. So if you really are trying to lose weight and that's your only goal, and you don't want to go to the gym, like that one lady was saying, it's just not for her, you still can lose weight. It's always possible. It's always possible, no matter what condition you have. I've yet to see like one condition where it's like, no matter what you do, it's just not possible to lose weight, you know?
choice.
Again, barring medical conditions, every nutritionist I've ever spoken with has always said it really is as simple as how it's being put. I don't say that to cast the negativity, but more so to just spread like, hey, it is possible, and I don't want to enable anybody's mind to think that it can't be done. More as a real positivity thing, like you absolutely can do it.
Facts,
and
be
I
positive.
for some folks, but possible.
Kind of going back to some of the talk about children and stuff earlier, we've made a really conscious decision to make sure that our children are a lot more educated about food, and they understand right now, like, hey, what you're eating is not really healthy, and so they are making the conscious choice, and they understand that right now at their age their metabolism is allowing them to get away with the things that they're doing. We've also seen one of our children very much struggle with their own body acceptance a lot and have a hard time with that, with a lot of bullying and issues and stuff. And so watching them go through that, and we've helped educate them, and they've helped improve themselves in ways that they wanted to. I feel a lot more empowered now with everything I have access to. Speaking to what you said about knowledge earlier, I was a kid I was born in '85, so a lot of the stuff coming out back then was new. A lot of these packaged foods were just coming out with a lot of the newest, fanciest oils and all the other nonsense that they have in them now. And so I feel like as a parent now, we do have that choice a lot more to actually educate ourselves if we want to.
Yeah, you
But
got
the
to get them
problem is,
young. When I have kids, I like to cook, so I'm going to be cooking my kids some tasty steak with some sweet potato fries, maybe some Brussels sprouts, and that's probably just going to be eating food like that for most of the days. But when I was a kid, I used to eat bags of chips like in like a day and a half, and I just didn't get big. But I was always moving around, so it's way easier for kids to get away with it. But you probably shouldn't let them be uneducated about what they're eating, or just let them do whatever they want to do, because it's gonna bite them in the back eventually. If you grow up eating blah blah blah, when you grow up, you're still gonna be thinking about blah blah blah. But I feel like I made the choice to, like, okay, I'm going to put down the jalapeno chips bag today. And that turned into, okay, I'm going to just stop eating jalapeno chips because these don't align with my goals, with who I want to be and how I want to live my life. And that was a choice.
There's not a good way to determine if the data is actually factual nowadays. You can go out there and find absolutely contradictory sources from fully highly credentialed.
Yeah. I don't think there's any sources saying that lettuce makes you big, though. I understand what he's saying, but I feel like it's overcomplicated. Like, if you eat lettuce and chicken and you eat like one bowl of that, it's kind of impossible to get big off of lettuce. It's not. People literally die from being too skinny from eating straight lettuce. So it's like, yeah,
HD level, completely contradicting in the nutrition space. And so it's really difficult to put the onus on people, again, when you have a system that is designed to confuse and designed to try and keep people addicted at the end of the day. It's like so many of our other vice systems, food has become another vice system in our country.
So as someone I just graduated in 23 of high school, And as someone who's worked in elementary schools, I see how obesity has overtaken the system. When I was in elementary school, we did not have snack time. They have snack time. Multiple times a day, they get to bring their own snacks. And so I see the way that these kids treat each other, and I see the way that they look at food. Being in school too, it's such a structured system. And so when you get the ability to take a break, you overindulge. And so that's just the way our system in America, in the United States, is set up and how it's been set up since the schools were established. And I find it hard to say that we have free will to be skinny or be fat, because a lot of parents don't know how to parent their children due to the lack of knowledge, and they choose to shut them up with food.
Fitness can become an unhealthy obsession. As always, we'll have the people that agree come up now.
It definitely can. Everybody should go up. Go up, nigga. A sweatshirt.
I know for me, my personal experience, I have struggled with an eating disorder before, and when I was struggling with that, I know that I was eating, we were just talking about like calories in, calories out. I know I was eating less calories than I was exercising out. So
you don't have to
I would
exercise,
eat like 300 calories and then I'd burn off
you
400.
You should, but you really don't have to.
And so exercise was a really unhealthy obsession for me at that time. And I know that a lot of things influence me, such as like social media and the internet and things like the inspiration and pro-Anna and pro-Mia sites. But that's what made me think that exercise was the only way to lose weight and the only way to become what I wanted to be.
I don't know if my mom will appreciate me talking about this, but my mom used to be a weight loss and fitness coach. It consumed a lot of her life for like the early 2010s when it was really popular to be in that sort of thing. And it affected me a lot more as a kid, watching her like obsess over working out every single day and how much weight she was losing. And I was just like really hurt by a lot of it, actually. Just like it's affecting the people around you, especially your kids. It was like, I can't do something right now, or I can't do this because I have to put in my workout. And it's like putting the people that you love on the back burner because of something else, like going to the gym or working out.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with prioritizing yourself? You know, if that is like all you talk about or all you consume is like fitness or blah, blah, blah. But it's hard for me to like wrap my hand around being fit as unhealthy, because being fit in of itself is like healthy. So I would wish she would be like specific, like what is her mom choosing not to do and to work out instead. Maybe if you work out like 3 hours a day every day, you know, that's a little much. You're probably missing out, you know, on some activities with your friends and family if you're doing that every single day, 3 hours a day. But at the end of the day, you know, a loving family should respect somebody in their family trying to be healthy, you know. I think it's just about stressing over it, which can definitely be unhealthy. Like you're always stressing and you're worried about like every little bit of calorie. And unless you're going on stage, you don't really need to be stressing about that. Like it's constantly in your head about, fuck, I may have put a little too much dressing, and you're already fit and you're worried about just a little bit of dressing. You know, live a little.
I think for me, I usually think to sports, and then for work related things, whether that's like modeling or military stuff or whatever. I think people can go to some very unhealthy extremes and become obsessed with it when trying to reach some of these goals, and then I think some of it can go back into some of the mental health with body dysmorphia, where you can have people that
trying to be great?
Have very unrealistic.
Do people say LeBron
ideals.
is unhealthily obsessed with basketball? People say that about Tom Brady, but you know they say he's the GOAT. What's wrong with trying to be extraordinary? I'm not really getting it. I mean, I'm not really getting it.
And you see people with implants that are drastically changing their body,
that's something different,
because
though.
they're obsessed with not just the fitness but also the look. And so, it's a lot of that internet
hit it on the
and what
nail.
you're talking about with how that culture has
look,
been
the
influencing
aesthetic
much
of it.
more and more. And growing up a lot younger, that was not.
And I ain't gonna lie, I've been victim of that too. Like worried about like as a grown man, worried about my waist size. It's like, I'm not going on stage, bro. But it's kind of hard to get out of that mindset when you make that choice to not only wanting to be fit but wanting to be like really fit, and you start to get in comparisons can be unhealthy. Why I don't look like somebody else, and I feel like I'm doing all the right things, but you don't know, like, oh, maybe that person has took a shot or eats a pill or whatever to get them that look, because you really don't know online. A lot of people online are doing something you don't know about, so it's really hard to just stay focused and keep it wholesome, keep it about just bettering yourself. When it becomes a competition and you're not literally competing, I feel like that's probably unhealthy. Jeff Hardy knows what he's talking about.
It's something that we were exposed to, really in the 80s and 90s. You would have a curated image, and you'd have like MTV and things like that where there was that, but it wasn't exposed and in your face and from uncurated sources and people that are your age but from all kinds of different walks of life. There's not a filter on that, and I think that's how people can get so obsessed with it, because they just have all the access.
So like you said about modeling, I started modeling about 2 years ago. And when I first came in, she was like, we measured myself and, that was all cool. And I see myself as a pretty fit woman. I have been my entire life. I've been this weight for a reasonable amount of time. She measured me and she was like, you're a plus size model. And for a really long time, that kind of just weighed on my conscience.
Crazy.
And so I would overly obsess, hitting 5 days at the gym, calorie deficit, all of that. My hair started falling out. I started noticing my skin was breaking out. All of these things. And then again, like, I would not be spending time doing the things I wanted to do because I was consumed in being skinny. But then I was just like, girl, you look fine. And I think a lot of people don't think that way. But my mom raised me to be a very, very disciplined woman and to see all aspects of life. And I am so blessed to be able to look at myself and truly love myself, but a lot of people don't have that opportunity, and so it continues to be an addiction.
You guys mentioned a good point over there about how detrimental it can be to your family life if it's all you focus on. I wasn't even thinking about that at first, but that definitely can be true. I guess I was kind of leaning towards the rich pianas of people that take things too far, ingest their bodies, and then ultimately it takes their life.
Excuse me, you're reading wrong. Put these on. Show me your book. I'm gonna take a picture of it. Now it's gonna scan it.
And at that point, yeah, it's certainly an obsession that's gone too far. Social media might have a big impact where it'll make someone feel a certain way. People start to inject their bodies with performance-enhancing drugs, things they don't really know what they're putting in their body. It might be some backwoods bathtub to explode.
Yeah, well, I think that we covered kind of all the range on that, so I guess the time would be now to bring in one disagreeer. So,
after everything that was said, I mean, I pretty much agree with, I kind of agree with the topic now, but
well, could you maybe give us maybe what you were thinking originally when you're thinking like, okay, maybe it can't be unhealthy. Like, what were you thinking?
The thing that I was thinking of is, just the fitness part. I feel like a lot of the things that were said might stem from other things. I mean, maybe like mental problems and stuff like that. Or like people were saying social media, I think it could stem from that. I mean, there was a point in my life where I was addicted to going to the gym every day. Like, it was the only thing I looked forward to with my day, and I wanted to go twice a day, 3 times a day, as much as I could. And at that point in my life, I felt better than I ever have. And so, I mean, I was addicted to it and I felt great. And thankfully, I never, wanted to get bigger, wanted to get stronger, wanted to hop on tests or anything like that and, ruin my life. Things you guys were saying maybe stem from something else. Maybe there's some deeper problems that are going on rather than just fitness and somebody going to the gym caused all these problems.
What do you guys think about that? Do you think it's more the fitness itself or the external factors?
I'd say probably more of the external stuff. You're using fitness as a coping mechanism a lot of times to treat whatever it is or try and achieve whatever goal it is or, that kind of thing. And then a lot of the substance
the
stuff
cosmic beanie
comes in as, again, not because somebody's a user, but again, because they're just addicted to trying to achieve whatever it is. I don't know. Maybe just in your case, it was fitness only, or was the fitness like because you were like, okay, now as a wrestler, I feel the best that I ever have, that I'm going to the gym 3 times, or was it just like purely because I'm hitting the gym that it was?
At the point when I started hitting the gym more, it was kind of just purely just to hit the gym. I mean, I was going with my brother and stuff like that, so I mean, had somebody to hang out with. And then eventually I started noticing changes, and so I just wanted to keep lifting. It was exciting to me at that point.
Okay, those changes, was that just physical changes, or was it also changing the way you interacted with the world and the way people interacted with you?
I would say a little bit of both. I mean, the physical changes, of course, that's, what a lot of people look for, but it kind of gave me more confidence, made me feel like, if I did nothing during the day but hit the gym, that I accomplished, something during that day. So, gave me a lot of rewards going to the gym.
I be wasting days, but I'll do some push-ups and feel like the man.
And women, we can't. We're meant to have a little bit of fat on our body because, when
That's true.
In prehistoric times,
I think women are supposed to be, or naturally supposed to have 3% or 4% more body fat than a man, on average. So, yeah.
Ones staying in the caves, protecting our children with our weight. And so we would be the ones eating mass amounts of foods. And so when we're constantly raising our cortisol levels, that is just very unhealthy to us, to our brain levels, to our every single nutrient in our body. Like men, you guys can take it, nothing against you guys, but you guys can take it. And I think a lot of people that start their fitness journeys don't know that there is a difference biologically between women and men and how much we can take. So at first I was going 5 days a week, and like you said, it would give me something to look forward to, and I felt rewarded even when I would do nothing. But it affects our bodies a lot differently, as well as, cold plunges and stuff, just simple things that add to the fitness journey. Women can't do so much of that. And I wish it was more known that we are not supposed to be putting ourselves through that. But yeah, we just can't handle that.
You said that you started to notice weren't doing anything else for the day, but you went to the gym, that you still felt good about it. Mm-hmm. At what point of you lacking on your other responsibilities, but you're only going to the gym, do you think it would still be acceptable, or would you start to dog on yourself?
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. And, I guess at that point in my life, I was just a high school student, so I didn't really have that much responsibilities to really care about. Sure. Or I was in college, and so, college life, stuff like that, you don't really care about all that other stuff. So, it didn't affect me that much. But in this point in my life, if I was on that same, kind of wavelength and going to the gym, not caring about anything else, I think that would definitely take much more of a mental toll on me. So I definitely see what you're saying. Yeah.
Fit people are more attractive than plus-size people. We'll start by having everyone that agrees come up now.
Gym goers.
But obviously this is a personal preference and opinion question. What makes fit people more attractive than plus-size people?
Definitely, I have had friends that like women on the plus side. I've had friends that like women that, to me, look, really small. One aspect other than just the looks alone is I think hard work is really attractive, and I think that most people find people that work hard is a really attractive trait. Whether you're
people who work hard in their studies or their fitness, I feel like it's the mental aspect that people are attracted to, that they can be disciplined and dedicated to improving themselves in some way. And that's appealing to a lot of people.
A doctor, a pilot, you're a cop. If someone sees you're working hard, that's a super attractive quality to me, and that really is shown on the way you take care of yourself. I've seen plenty of people that are not fit, they're not fat, they're just kind of a normal person, but they don't really have any other day-to-day activities where they have hard work. And I think the body is a really good, very first sight you get to see how hard does this person work. And I think that trait of just hard work is super attractive.
Well, I mean, I think you need to take that hard work may not always present in a physical form. And so I know people that are doing very hard work, but it just isn't hard from a physical labor standpoint. But beyond that, I think the first thing we need to do is point out that it's all men up here that agree with this one. Like, I think we have to point that elephant out immediately and say that's probably something that's societally related. That we grow up, like you said, talking with your friends, some that prefer this, some that prefer that. But I think our friends, especially in sports and things like that, locker room talk, I think there's a lot of pressure on men to have a girlfriend that is conventionally attractive according to whatever the beauty standards are at the time. Like, I know that's how I was when I was a kid. I would assume that's how it is. And so, you have a lot of men kind of brought into this system, indoctrinated into this mindset of like, I got to do this almost like a keeping up with the Joneses. My buddies are going to think of me, a certain way if my girlfriend doesn't look a certain way. And so then they condition themselves to think. And then also society's constantly pushing that at us. You don't have different body types shown in different ways. There's very few people over time that have ever broken into the very famous industry that weren't of a conventional beauty standard because they're just shut out. They don't get the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, like he was saying, I got friends, who their standard or whatever, what they're looking for is just like really extreme, really skinny. And then friends on the other side who, prefer plus size. But for me personally, it's, just someone I can relate to. So, my girlfriend, she lifts and we like to lift together. And so it's just something I like to do with her and she likes to do with me. And so just something I look for and something I enjoy.
Yeah, it's like a bond. For you, you're saying it lies a lot in the bonding aspect.
Yeah, exactly.
The similarity. It's like a strong pillar of your relationship.
Say, with my wife, I've been together with my wife for 19 years, so I've known my wife at a range from, like 120 pounds to almost 200 pounds. And, so like I know that physically, like I have different ranges of where I feel levels of physical attraction with her. And we've had those conversations, and she's said the same with me, that, when I've had more weight on, that she's been less physically attracted to me, and it's just something that we understand that really, like you're saying,
that would suck to hear, man. I'm not gonna lie. That would suck to hear. You pack on a few pounds, she like, yeah, I'm not really feeling you anymore. Your wife saying that. That's gotta hurt. Fuck. I don't want that to happen. I really think it's a health thing. I think, at least more so for me, it's not about being like really fit, as opposed to just being in like a healthy range. Like, I don't really care too much, and I don't even think people generally care so much about being super fit to be attractive, as opposed to people just being like, just healthy. Like, okay, you care about what you eat at least a little, you walk around at least a little bit, you get some type of physical activity, like you care about your health. I think that's probably attractive. I feel like that's attractive to everybody. Like, I don't think a lot of people don't like super buff guys or like super buff women. And that's understandable, because that can in turn seem like it's an obsession for you, or it's like out of the ordinary in a way that's not healthy. But I think health as a baseline is attractive to probably everyone.
The true attraction isn't about what we look like. Eventually we're going to be old and wrinkly at the end of the day. It's about
Not me.
What kind of a connection you have with that person is really what attraction is about. And I think that's why probably it's all.
Yeah, people be saying that. I've seen a lot of old people that look pretty good. Like, I've seen some older women, like 50-year-old women that are healthy, in shape, they wash their face, they take care of their skin, and they look good. I don't know. And I be seeing, like, I saw this swole ass. He wasn't too swole, but he had some muscle on him. Bro was about 60. He had on a tank top, a beard, and these like college girls were like, "Oh, who's that?" To this 60-year-old man. So people really be exaggerating like how bad you age. It really does depend on the person, because not everybody is going to age bad. I mean, I guess when you're like 99 or like 90 and like everybody's super wrinkly, but even then, especially if you take care of yourself, at a young age and you keep it going as a lifestyle throughout your whole life, you're still gonna look good like older. I don't think it's just going to like completely go away like you're just a rotting corpse.
Also, more men up here right now is because men are conditioned to not as often have that kind of a bond and have that desire to form that bond in that same way, where women, the way that they bond with their friends is much more emotionally connected, whereas with men it's much more physical. It's much more sports and outdoor activities, and it's not as intimate of a bonding situation.
Yeah, I would say probably the most like judgmental people of a young man is another young man,
True.
But I think it's
it's probably the same for women too, though.
I guess the real question is, does the size of someone's body have any pull on the amount of attraction you guys have for people?
It does not. I've never been attracted to a particular body type, but my boyfriend is plus size. We've been together, it'll be 4 years in November, and he is the first person to ever truly look at me and find me attractive, truly. And that's something that I think everyone deserves, no matter what your size is. And it's really a good point that you had brought up, that, honey,
you just gotta find somebody that likes you, man. Everybody's built differently. If somebody wants to be big, let them be big, and they can find somebody that's also big and they are big together in love. Or maybe somebody that's not also big and they still like them. Some men do beyond that, apparently.
You're gonna age. Well, you're gonna have wives with babies that are going to be bigger, and what if they can't lose the weight? What if they're not fit enough for you?
They can, though. They can
Them?
lose the weight.
That's extremely
Don't put that on them.
sad.
Don't put that on them already. They're not even born. You're already saying this baby, they can't lose it. Everybody can. That's a defeatist mindset. It's a mindset.
And because you're attracted to someone, I'm not saying people can't have preferences, because obviously everyone has their preferences.
Facts.
But it's sad that someone wouldn't look at maybe someone like me and be like, I wouldn't be willing to give her a chance because of the way that she looks and not who I am as a person.
There's nothing wrong with
that.
that.
Sucks.
There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody does that for pretty much everybody. I don't think anybody is entitled to be attracted to everybody. You choose who you want, you like who you like, and you just gotta find somebody that appreciates you physically and emotionally.
Because people wouldn't even get the chance to know me before counting me out, which is terrible. And I think a lot of people feel that way. A lot of big people feel that way. How am I deserving of love when all of the men just sat down here and said, I'm not attracted to a particular body type? That sucks.
Think that someone plus size could be attractive in your head?
I think it depends on every woman.
Okay, fair.
I don't think every woman has to have a snatched waist. This is going to sound very shallow amongst the boys, if we're getting truthful. If a girl has a nice waist to butt and hips ratio, I still find it very attractive. It doesn't have to be 23-inch waist and whatever. There's variations of what I'd find attractive.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, well, I just want to keep following up with the people that disagreed. What's your take on it?
I also don't have a preference of body type. I'm very fluid in my dating preferences, and I'm very emotionally invested in the people that I date. So for me, it's a lot about if we have a lot of common hobbies or common interests, not necessarily if we have a common body type.
Like, say you're watching a movie, right? Baywatch, Zac Efron, right? Like one of the most shredded I think anyone's ever been in a movie on camera. Does that make any difference to you seeing that versus someone that, I don't know, I guess was plus size? No difference at all.
No.
Yeah, whoever. I mean,
I guess, like, if I have a preference at all, my celebrity crush is Luke Combs, which is a plus-size gentleman.
Oh, no,
which is
that
kind
is-
of crazy.
yeah, no, that makes a very clear point of what I was asking. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Okay.
I got a question for you guys. So, if you like went into a bar or something like that, what would make you go up to a person and talk to them?
Mi esposa me va a matar por esto, lo puedo con ella.
I wonder what she's gonna say.
Um,
She's gonna say what type of drink he's drinking or something, or his shoes, his kicks.
wanting to talk to someone. Like, I've been
What kind of answer
shut
is that?
down too many times that I won't ever do it anymore.
Right.
I'm glad that I found my person, because I've been told no enough that I'm like, just swiping on Tinder was what did it for me in college. It's the only thing that really caught me through in dating at all. But I maybe they look nice. Something catches my eye, like a smile or like a sparkle in their eye, not their body type. It's not the first thing I'm paying attention to.
I can see that. I've seen plenty of women that have great bodies, but they just have a nasty, mean attitude you can tell off their face.
Right.
You're like, I can tell I wouldn't really like talking to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't think I've really ever looked at anyone I was attracted to and been only attracted to them based on their body type, unless they were a woman. And I've never dated anyone based on their body type. But when you look at Ashley Graham too, she's a plus size Victoria's Secret model.
I don't know who that is.
Beautiful. We see all of these models who are plus size technically, but they look different as well. They still have curves and stuff, so I really do feel like it's based off of genetics. And I personally am a personality person. I've never, I never dated anybody based on how they look. But as well as if we don't have things in common.
I think, well, I'm not going to speak for her, but I feel like a lot of people just lie about that. And I don't think it's one thing to be rude about somebody that you're not like attracted to go out your way and demean them, but I don't think there's anything wrong about liking what you like. Like, women liking certain things in guys is okay if that woman wants that, if that's appealing to her visually, and vice versa. There's nothing wrong with that. And most of the time it's not even really like a choice. Like, I don't go out and choose who to find physically appealing. But of course, that's not the only thing that matters. Like, it's not at all. It's like, it's top 5. But the personality has to be there. Absolutely.
Like, now that I am very disciplined and I go to the gym, if someone has negative habits and they don't go to the gym, that's when I would find them unattractive. But if they don't go to the gym and they're taking care of themselves, like, I don't really see how that could impact me.
That wouldn't impact me.
Why do you think for so long
if they take care of
there
themselves?
weren't as many? You said there's very few people plus size that have broken
matters,
into
though,
industries
taking care
like
of
that
yourself, at least a little.
earlier. Why do you guys think that
At
is?
least.
Afraid of hurting feelings, I feel
Like, say it was a girl that's like she doesn't work out and she don't even like eat like the most healthy foods, but she knows when to put the fork down, then she gonna be good,
like that's where we've gone as society, is we're afraid of offending somebody. And I mean, I'm all for, I don't think anybody should be made fun of, picked on, anything like that. or judged without getting to know them. But at the same time, I feel like, you know, everything we do, it should be for future generations. And so with the body acceptance, it's like you're blasting these commercials and you're showing, you know, all this stuff, and it's like, how is this affecting the kids? And so we want our kids to, you know, grow up healthy lifestyles so they can live long. And so I feel like it could be, you know, maybe a negative impact, and, you know, making sure that kids understand having a healthy lifestyle. Like she was saying earlier, how we might not have access to this information, and it's like once we take it away, then nobody knows.
I don't think it's truly because the industry has empathy. I think it's because a lot of the laws that are coming into place are now making them put more people, especially people of color too, into these roles.
Why were they kept out for so long? Not why are they getting introduced, but like why do you think they were kept out for so long? Like having plus size representation in media?
Because there were European ideal beauty standards that they wanted everyone to look like. So, like going back to what you're saying, now they have to include like the diversity hires or whatever, because they never thought about those people before. Like they never thought about fat people, they never thought about people of color. They thought about the people that were the majority, or they thought looked the best. So they included those people. Like, that's why it's been so long without a lot of inclusion, because they didn't like how the other people looked.
I don't think it's necessarily only because they didn't like about, you know, how they looked. Being in the modeling industry too, a lot of the clothes that they make are specialized for one size. And so if you don't fit these measurements, you're out. And so for a long time, it was just, you had to fit, you know, 24, 22, whatever. And if you didn't fit those, you wouldn't even be able to wear our clothes. As well as they taught us that Europeans are the majority, which with percentage, they're not. It's really just about money and power. Who has the availability to buy these clothes like Prada and Mugler and all of these things? It's people who, it goes back to slave times, who has old money, and that's Europeans.
Well, it's exactly that. It's money. I mean, it's a capitalist society. So why have they been kept out before? Because they didn't feel that there was a monetary gain to include them. Now they do. Now they feel the pushback. Now people have the ability to stand up and make their voices heard, and they're hearing people saying that they want to see that representation, that they want to see clothes on models that look like them in stores, not clothes that look like European beauty standard in stores that don't actually give them a realistic picture of what they're going to see. Like, people want to feel seen, and they feel seen when they see people that are like them, that they feel that they can relate to. Realize that it's a monetary gain at this point to put that in there. Like, I don't think they're, like you said, it's not that they have empathy. It's that they realize they can make more money and get us to be their better little consumers if they get...
Such a double standard. I don't know when we switch to, you know, you have money, you're skinny. Because if you look at Greek statues, they were thick women. And now we're seeing the complete opposite. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I think that's an interesting topic that we have to consider.
There are also entire stores dedicated to women built like me. I can only find like a bra really that'll fit me at Torrid, which is a plus size women's store, because it's not exactly made for me until I go to a place that is. And I'm like, fine, they'll get my business. And then because they realized that they could capitalize on people who were bigger, and that fashion in general wasn't made for larger bodies, they decided, well, we know where we could put our money into getting fashion and like models that are plus size wearing these clothes too. Just because I'm bigger doesn't mean that I shouldn't also look nice or like spend nice money on my clothes. I also wanted to make a point of the very first thing that was said over here during this prompt is that people that do not go to the gym or have like a healthy lifestyle are lazy. So far from beyond what I actually live. I work a lot. I put a lot of time and energy into the career that I have, and to think that someone can take a look at me from across the room and say she's lazy because of the way that I look is so sad. It's truly so sad because I work a lot and I do a lot of things that pertain to me, my relationship, and my family, including fostering 2 children. Like, that's crazy that someone would just take a look at me from a glance and say she's lazy.
Yeah, man. People make judgments about how people look off first glance. It's unfortunate, but that's just how the world is. Is it really unfortunate? Because we kind of have to survive, and that's just kind of human nature to make judgments like that. You know, people make judgments about black people for being black, and I would say that's unfortunate. So yeah, that is unfortunate.
Mad at that. It's so sad that society has brought us here.
You have to separate those aspects of your life into boxes. Fostering children, I'm lazy. I don't.
But what you can do is just look the best that you can look. If you want to get the best first sight, the best first impression on people, you just gotta look your best. And you know, your best is different for every person, though. Not everybody's gonna look the same, regardless if they work out or not.
I don't do that. I don't help with that. That's certainly something that someone said to Gabe, you're lazy at that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Working a lot, not making time. I work 14-hour days, and I still manage to go to the gym. I work. It'll take a toll on my sleep sometimes, sure, but I have to be willing to take accountability and say, well, I was lazy at this. I think the people that don't go to the gym have to be willing to take accountability and say, I was lazy at the gym today. Did I go? Doesn't mean your entire life is lazy. Doesn't mean that it'll take away from those other aspects. But we do have to be willing to take accountability and say, I did these good things. You mentioned earlier I did these things. You'd have to take accountability and say, I was lazy about my fitness today. The same way you have to take accountability from yourself and say, I was lazy about my other responsibilities today.
Mm-hmm. Do you think, interestingly, do you think when you look at someone and you're like, okay, do you actually sit there and think, this person's lazy about the gym or this person's lazy? What do you think in your head?
I guess I really do think gym, but I do see why other people, I mean, like I said earlier, it's a visual representation of who you are as a person.
Yeah, like that one's easier to call out versus like, Gabe, you're pretty lazy fostering kids. Like, how would I ever know that, right?
Exactly, you wouldn't, but that doesn't mean that I couldn't be lazy in those aspects.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I couldn't be lazy in family time or my other commitments that I talk to people.
The word fat is offensive.
Is it?
Start by having the people that agree come up
She's
now.
already walking up.
The word fat, what about it makes it offensive to you guys?
It is the word that was ever first used to me to describe me in a negative way as a kid. And that's just kind of always stuck with me. I haven't taken it and twisted it into like a positive where you can describe me as fat and I won't see that as offensive, because I do. Like, the first thing that you should use to describe somebody shouldn't be fat or thin at all. And it again just sucks that the word fat is used in such a negative connotation that I find it offensive.
Big.
Absolutely. But
Yeah.
thin isn't used in the same way.
It isn't. Yeah, you're saying like if I was fishing, I was like, oh, like that's a fat bass. Like somebody would be like, heck yeah. Or if I'm like, that's a real thin bass, they'd be like, man, that ain't. But then when it comes to like humans, it's the negative connotation, huh?
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, and what do you think?
Initially, I thought of like our humor, and I think as humans, we bond with humor. One of the first like jokes that I heard when I was younger and that we used to say all the time on the bus is, yo mama's so fat, whatever. And I like would be like, before we play this game, y'all better not say that. Cause my mom, she's overweight. Everyone in my family is. So I've grown up, that's the immediate target. And those are fighting words. And so I don't think it's just a word. I think it's what surrounds it. And I think as kids, like, we're automatically taught that we can make jokes out of people and we can use other people, and regardless of their circumstances, other people's looks as a way of leverage to make the room laugh. And I just think that we need to think about humor
little
in a
kids are
different way,
mean,
you
man.
know?
And it really does just bring me back to my childhood. I realize that this
Kids
is not
can be
therapy, but it brings me back to like the first time someone was ever mean to me on a playground. it was because I was a chunky third grader and they called me fat. And it really did stick with me. It's so incredibly unkind. And today as a society, we have got to be kinder to each other. And it may not be offensive to somebody else, but you should be well aware of your surroundings and who you're speaking to.
I'm surprised that she didn't just take up after her mom. If she was getting called fat and made fun of as a kid, and her mom was super into fitness, and she just went the opposite way. I wonder why.
Saying that word, because people do use it as humor.
That makes sense. Now that we know kind of where we stand with it, I think it's a good time to bring people that disagree up now.
To me personally, I mean, the fact that we can, use the word and call other things fat makes the word itself not offensive. I think we can all agree, depending on how a person uses the word, it can become offensive. And I feel like that can be said for a lot of words out there. But I feel like the fact, like you were saying, you could say a cat's fat, you could say, a lot of things are fat, and that word is not offensive. I feel like it's just the way you use it.
I think, like you said, though, with it being humans, I think there's a difference there because, like you said, people have feelings. And, like me personally, yeah, I don't find it offensive, but I don't find anything offensive. And so that I have to understand is a me thing, not an everyone thing. So I don't use it because I understand that general societal norm is it's offensive. I understand that. But for me personally, it's not. I don't care. If you call me fat, yeah, I probably am. Yeah, I make good food. Shit happens.
I know for me, the word fat is not offensive.
I could be fat in a different world, for real. Food tastes good. And people be acting like they don't understand why some people are big. Bro. Like the lady was saying at the beginning with it being a choice or not. And her saying oh, this is the easy choice I can make. That'll just make me feel good in the moment I feel stressed. That's an easy choice to make, and it feels good. That's understandable. It's not incomprehensible that unhealthy foods taste good. It makes sense. And shoot, if somebody doesn't really care about being overweight, then yeah, they may die sooner, but people are slowly killing themselves in so many different ways by smoking or drinking. And if somebody wants to do it with donuts, let them.
Offensive unless it's directed as a slur. For me, I know a lot of fat folks in my sphere like to reclaim the word fat instead of using words like morbid or obese.
Morbid is crazy.
They prefer the word fat, and I prefer the word fat because it describes what I am, not a category that doctors are putting me in to describe how sick I am. I know that there's a new movement going around in the body acceptance sphere that is called fatagories, and what it describes is the different levels of privilege you have based on how fat you are. And so there's things like small fat, mid fat, super fat, and death fat. And death fat was coined in 2008 to describe folks that are so overweight that they're at risk of dying. And so this is a way that we're reclaiming a word such as the word queer, how queer used to be used very derogatory as a slur for LGBTQ folks, but now we're saying and identifying as queer to reclaim that word. So that's how I feel about if it's offensive or not.
I have a question. Can you tell me what category of fat I fit in?
So it's based on your shirt size. So if you are a 1 or 2X, you are small fat. 3 to 4X, you are mid fat. 5 to 6X, you are super fat. So that is based on what level of privilege you have in the world.
I feel like I've seen that other girl before.
Someone in a small fat category may not struggle getting on an airplane. But someone in a mid fat or super fat may not be able to use even the airplane extender. So that's where that comes in, and the privilege levels of what fat means to different people.
Do you think something interesting? Like you said, privilege, right? So if somebody is less fat, then them being able to get onto an airplane is a privilege, or is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you guys think of that?
A lot of things in life are privileges, And you know, with being overweight, in my opinion, I think that's something you can control yourself. So if you feel like you're deprived of this privilege, you can change yourself to enjoy that privilege.
At Death Fat, are people, is this like what I see on shows, like where people can't walk or things like that?
Typically, it's over a 6X.
Okay.
So it's where people maybe couldn't walk, couldn't get out of bed, couldn't take care of themselves. And so that's where you lose that privilege of being able to care for yourself. And that's why you're in the category of death fat, because you are at risk of dying because of your weight.
I feel like when you see the show, like with people that are quote unquote death fat, do you have any knowledge on how?
Red Bull gives you wings.
Already did my free trial.
Our seat covers aren't just engineered for comfort. Ford had to build a whole damn truck around them. The F-350 was basically...
How people end up at death fat, like is it usually a health thing, or is it, because I feel like I haven't really seen very many people in my life that are at that. You know, it's just sensationalized. Like, could it be related to trauma, something like that?
Absolutely. I think that for me, I can only speak from my own experience, but the reason why I'm fat is related to trauma, related to medical issues, it's related to mental health struggles, it's related to access, it's related to a lot of different things, and could put me in the category of one day being death fat, but I'm trying my best to like become a better person and like have a better mentality and stuff like that. So yeah, I think anyone in one day could end up death fat. It's just these experiences you go through and what
Anybody
type of
could.
toll that takes on you.
That's a good point to make. It really does depend on your experiences, how you reflect on those experiences, how you internalize them. You could be in any type of situation depending on like your experience, how you grew up. So you really should not make fun of people for being who they are, because you really don't know how that person even came to be like that. Especially people with trauma or like mental disorders or physical like limitations that they have. That could be you, and you could like internalize it negatively and feel like there's no point, or feel like it's too hard and you just give up, or you just choose not to care. So just treat everybody like a person, man. That could be you. Is Jeff Hardy gonna say anything?
It's to wonder if we're trying to create a society from Wall-E at times, with how easy we make it for people to access things, though. Like, that's, you say you don't see people that are death fat. Well, that's because now we have DoorDash and Uber Eats. And
they need to make Kava open 24/7, because I'm making this video at like 4 a.m. and I'm kind of hungry, but there's nothing I can eat except McDonald's. So he's got a point. Jeff Hardy got a point.
Every other service under the sun, a lot of that was accelerated by the pandemic and being forced to stay at home. People can get everything delivered directly to them now. There isn't that requirement to go out and get it, and so you don't see people that much anymore. And a lot of them may make the choice of like, I don't want to go out because, there's that trauma associated with what if XYZ happens when I'm out because of, my size, and then now, that size becomes the center of attention. Because I think when you're talking about how does somebody get to that point, I think the only way you get to that point is if there's some kind of a mental illness happening for some reason, whatever that is. Like, you don't get there without having, I would think, almost like a desire to hurt yourself. Been through some kind of trauma that has you feeling unworthy of something, or like that is the way that you cope with things.
How do you get to that point?
There has to be some kind of underlying something that could push you to that point. I don't think you're going to get to that point
Watch documentary
unless you are really struggling with something and need professional services. And I think that's what we need to just do better with, period, as a country, is professional services for mental health. And I think it helped with a lot of things.
And physical health as well. There are folks that may have something like lymphedema where they cannot move, can't get out of the house, or agoraphobia, which is a mental illness, but it's another reason why people just can't get out and can't move, can't go to the doctor or anything like that. So I think all of those are different reasons why people end up in that category.
You mentioned, like, I guess this might...
Bro, I don't know if this is rude, but I just keep thinking of that video. I saw a video on Twitter of this dude, and he was biting on this bigger girl's double chin. And this shit had me dying, bro.
Might not be a term, but the death fit category. You mentioned people that inject themselves, take things to the next level. I mean, that has to be fueled by something similar, right? I mean, if it's on the same parallel, it's just going to a complete other extreme. You think that's maybe people that end up doing things like that and end up suffering, fatalities from that? You think they have something similar, trauma-based going on?
Obviously, I'm not a medical professional, but I have heard of the My 600 Pound Life, people like that. Watching those shows, I've heard people mention it's a mental thing, and you have some mental issue that's driving you just to nonstop eating. And yeah, similarly with the people, they have body dysmorphia was mentioned. Those things are also really negative when you're pushed to that limit.
Risky situations, and when you're talking about death fit, I went on multiple steroid cycles to try and, ascertain certain goals, both in attracting the female gaze as well as mainly trying to ascertain certain fitness levels for what I was doing with the military. And it felt like it was, kind of accepted or almost celebrated by the culture. I was doing it at a time where, this was like 2005 to 2007, and so I'm ordering things online from Eastern European places that are, being shipped through mail in weird packaging, and I'm taking anabolic steroids, and I'm taking, different estrogen blockers, and I'm taking histamines and different things to try and cut weight, and doing all sorts of things to try and achieve what I thought I needed to achieve. There is a little bit of maybe a mental thing there of me, having such a desire and such a belief that that's who I needed to be, that I had to, the risks that I was putting my body through were worth it. I remember during certain steroid cycles where being in a lift and feeling like I was about to tear the skin on my arm because of the amount of extra pump that I was feeling through the muscles during it. And that's part of why I don't like the gym now, because I have a lot of trauma with the gym of how much it was like at one point it was threatening my career. I had to get to try and get myself to a place. I was in the 75th Ranger Regiment, so we had a lot of higher expectations, as far as what we had for physical standards. I felt like I had to do this or I'm going to lose my job, and I would rather hurt myself, to keep my job and keep things for my family, because, you're a single income earner, 23-year-old parent, 22, I guess, when he was born. You just have to do the things that you have to do. This was all things leading up to when I met my wife. It was all things for me to initially pass the test. So I got in a program where I had a 6-month window before I was actually gonna have to pass it. And so then during that 6-month window, that's when I was doing all these things to try and reach this goal at the end, to, get through this hurdle, to actually get through all the physical requirements to get there. And yeah, just put myself through a lot of danger because I thought that's what I needed to do.
To kind of go back to that main prompt, when I'm reading an ingredients list and I say trans fat, saturated fat, nobody stops me and says, whoa, you can't say that. I said the word fat, but nobody, if I say some racial slur, anyone will say, whoa, it's messed up. But if I read those without malice, no problem. I work contract security. Someone comes on to a property they're not supposed to be, and they say, who was it? What's he look like? I say, it was a white dude, fat guy, he's going northeast. Nobody stops me and says, whoa, you can't say those things. It's just a descriptor. But if I say
guy northeast,
something like, oh, dude, I hate that guy, what a fat piece. We all know, well, he's intending to hurt that guy. So there's many situations where the word fat has no malice. It doesn't mean anything negative. It's only what we're implying.
It does depend on how you use it.
I am satisfied with my body
completely.
Right now.
I don't think the word is
come up now.
Inherently bad. I'm gonna just say big though. I'm gonna stick to big.
I mean, I guess the only way I can go about this is just saying, what do you love? Why are you satisfied with your body?
Growing up with body dysmorphia and only being seen for my body put me through mental turmoil for so long. Being obsessed with the idea of being fit or having a big butt or having a small waist. And then I am so blessed to be able to have an open mind and see I'm literally fine right now. I can choose to be happy right now. And if I end up, getting bigger muscles in the future, I'm okay with that. But for right now, I'm happy where I am, and I don't need to be this or to be that to feel satisfied with who I am right now.
Okay. I guess that's a good time to bring in everybody else.
Is he laughing?
Has there been a point where anybody here was ever satisfied with where their body was? Or has it just been a continuous thing forever?
Yeah, for me, it's been a continuous thing. I'm definitely not as fit as I was in the past, but even when I was like in my best shape, I still felt like I could be a little bit better. And it could be a bad thing, it could be a good thing. At the same time, I think once you become comfortable in something, that's when you stop improving. And so to me, it's always good to be uncomfortable.
I think for me, it's probably just been that struggle of just always, having issues with how I look, never feeling comfortable in my own skin. I've been super athletic, played all the sports, done the high-end Army things, been able to do crazy stuff. And then I've been really obese. And I don't think at any point in time I was ever happy, but I don't think that it correlated either. I don't think that has anything to do with weight. I think that conversations like this where we sit down and we force these subjects out, I think these were probably something that were much more common among people years ago when we didn't have our devices in our hands to be able to talk to each other instantaneously. Like we actually would sit around and have a drink after dinner and, have these conversations and actually go deep on things, and
Probably since the third grade, I have never been comfortable with my body. And now that I have, big girl adult money, I'm doing things to change myself into a way that I think like I will feel my best. And there was never like an appropriate time where this was going.
College does move fast.
To come up, or I thought maybe it would earlier, and I don't want to feel like I'm hiding it from anyone watching, but I've been on a weight loss GLP-1 medication for the last 2 years. I've been on like a semaglutide blend from a med spa here in Omaha, and I've lost 60 pounds. And I am happy with that because I feel better, like my back doesn't hurt, which I appreciate. One of the most vulnerable things that someone can talk about is their weight and how it makes you feel. I'm worried that I will never be satisfied. Like, I've done the laser hair removal to get rid of my dark hair. I'm on a weight loss medication to make myself look thinner. Also, it makes me feel better. And like I pay for these things with my own money that I work very hard for. So it's hard to be on the body acceptance side when I'm so accepting of other people's bodies. Like, just because it's not the first thing I notice about somebody at all. Like, I truly just think that the best things about people are what's on the inside. And I wish I could see that a little bit more in myself. Again, I probably need therapy, but I wanted to be honest with you guys because I have been losing weight for about 2 years now on a Ozempic blend.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, and thanks for being vulnerable.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting for me because, like you said, like I will be the first person to accept anyone as they are and not focus on someone's body. But for me, it's not necessarily that I don't love my body or anything like that. It's that I struggle with like the happiness of being happy with my body. I think it's fine for me to accept my body and be neutral without having to be positive about it. So that's where I disagree with that. I feel neutral about my body and that's okay for me.
I think it's Terry Crews said it best, happy, never satisfied. I like that mentality personally. I've changed my happiness. It no longer comes from my body, but the work I'm putting in. Like, am I at least trying? Am I at least putting effort in? Can I be happy with that? And yeah, I can. Do I make my weight? No, but am I trying? I am trying. So my happiness is more derived from that. Satisfied? No, I'm not satisfied. But I'll also never be satisfied, and I'm okay with that because I know that's what's going to keep me driving, pushing to achieve more, and I take that aspect to every other aspect of my life too.
This has been enough.
I think everybody should feel good about their body and form their body into a form that they would feel happy about it. Like, if you feel like that one lady was saying how she lost 70 pounds and before her back was hurting. So she could feel satisfied right now that she lost weight and now her back isn't hurting. And that goes back to health. You could be satisfied just putting in the effort to be healthy. When you get into too much into fitness, it's really hard to be satisfied with your body because you're always comparing yourself to people who are probably on steroids. At any point, you can make that change and make that shift mentally to choose to be satisfied, to choose to be happy, that you try, that you put in the effort, that you're healthy, that your body looks good. And you don't have to only be satisfied if you're ripped, I would say just about be satisfied about being healthy. I think everybody should be healthy and should be pursuing health for them. Health looks different for every person though, and that's where the satisfaction comes when you feel like you are at a good place for yourself. You feel Like, you look good, you think you look good, and you feel good. Your back doesn't hurt, your knees don't hurt, your ankles don't hurt. You feel energized. And if you get too skinny or too ripped, you might not feel good, because not only are you competing with other people who are also super skinny on steroids, but you also are very hungry. And that will probably leave you very unsatisfied with life. So it's all about a balance, really. But, yep, that's about it.